Until you hear this, you might think it comes easy. And especially if, you are doing this on your own, well, you might think that you might not just be cut out for it, or the failure and there's a wall and it's just over and we're done. What am I getting at here? Well, this video is all about, have you ever been in that situation where you had no idea how to move forward? Or maybe you agreed on a project and you're feeling completely overwhelmed and you want to know what it takes to succeed in this situation as an opportunity. And I'm here to talk about that today. And I'm going to give it to you really straightforward and really real. And that's because earlier in my career, I wasn't getting any raises and promotions in the beginning. I wasn't getting any of the extra, the really cool projects. I wasn't really getting a ton of opportunities. It was there. My main opportunity was there, but I wasn't getting kind of the extra stuff. And I felt like I was hitting a wall, whether it was outside of work or inside of work. And I was just expecting things. And at the same time, it was really interesting because I can look back and realize that I was extremely comfortable with what I was doing. I would show up, do what I was supposed to do, go home. Everything was great. Play Halo when I got home. And that was life. And I found that actually until I took action and actually did something where I had to fail or see results, that I wasn't really succeeding in many of these situations. I happened to be there, but I wasn't truly succeeding. And what happened in my career that started to change that was I took on a really large project called the MeanStack.js. Actually, go to meanstackjs.com if you're interested to check it out. It's still up. I still somewhat keep it active. And I took literally a big risk on that because I had this idea that finally I had put myself out there for. And it actually took me a year to build that. I literally started from scratch. If any of you go check it out, I started it from scratch and it took me a year. I don't know many people that take a year to build out something. They have no idea what they're doing. But I failed so many times along the way that eventually I figured it out. And I learned from some of the best, and I looked around at some of the best, and I found a way to get it done through multiple failures, multiple bad commits that I tried to hide, but I found out they're not actually hidden. So I even failed at trying to hide my commits so that people couldn't look back at how bad the code was. So it's still there if you're interested. Now, that took me a whole year, and that was kind of earlier in my career. And if you ever feel stuck and you're wanting to progress, then I want to tell you before I get into the main content of this video, I have the product for you. I have taken what I've learned in my career and also my mentoring career, and I have built a product called Coding Career Fastlane to help you accelerate your career. Now, there's a ton to it, but I'll leave it at that for now. We'll come back to it a little bit later. There will be a link down below if you're interested in something like that to accelerate your career. So what is this? How do you succeed, right? I told you the story of what I did or a story of how I was just kind of unhappy with that and I had to fail a little bit and we had the mean stack. That's great. What's this all mean? Well, it really truthfully comes down to this. This isn't going to be the video where you think you're going to get some little trick that's just going to be boom, solve everything in one sit and for all situations. No, I'm here to tell you about this, and that is the law of averages when it comes to succeeding in situations. Now, this is a principle that proposes that most future events are likely to balance any of the past deviations from a presumed average. Now, what I'm talking about here is not that I flipped three heads, with a coin, I flipped three heads in a row, and then by law of averages, the next three have to be tails. And that's not the case. That's not what I'm getting at. That's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm talking about over time. So if we talk about 1,000 flips, 10,000 flips, the more you put in, the closer it will get to the averages, the presumed averages, especially in a coin's case of, say, 50%. Now, I say that presumed. I want to make that really clear because in the case of we're rolling a die, right, over time, everything's bound to hit a sixth. Or if we're rolling two dies, everything's bound to hit around 6, 7, and 8 the most. Where does this all come from? Well, this all relates back to whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So in the case of failures, I want to give you an example of failures with interviews. Specifically because my students there's a lot of lot of work I've done here, a lot of failure I've seen. So let's start there. So the law of averages says, right, it's going to relate to the averages, to your presumed average. So if we know that you are going to fail 80% of the time in your interviews, and you're going to get into 20% of them, and out of that 20% you get potentially, you will get, now that's the 100%. We're talking about this 20% now. The 100% of that 20%, we're talking about, 50% of those you'll get callbacks. Well, if we are messing up or if we are going to a ton of interviews, law of averages says you'll eventually get one. But what people don't realize is if you really want to change the law of averages or sway the law of averages in your way, you have to learn. You have to get out there and fail. Because what truly happens over a 6-month period on average, which takes majority of students to get jobs coming out of boot camps, is you have to make the large mess ups. You have to fail utterly bad, straight on your face, and learn from that and figure out what you did wrong. Also, you have to have the middle of the road failures where you just slipped up on a couple answers and you were close to getting that job. And then there's the small failures where you just said a couple wrong things at the wrong time that got you to not get the offer of the job or to not negotiate it to where you want it to be. There's these small failures. And so you have to experience those. And if we know the law of averages and we know, say, 20% of the time you'll get hired, or 20% of the time you'll get the job potentially you want, we have to then be going and doing enough interviews. But at the same time, that's not just enough. It's just not just applying the law of averages and going to, say, 100 interviews, assuming we'll potentially get 20 offers. And even then, really, that's not 20 offers. Let me take that back. The 80 and 20% is actually like actually getting in-person interviews. Out of the 100 applications you do, on average, 20 of them will get you actual in-person applications, generally, from what I've seen. But you can't just apply just doing 100 and assume that's always going to work. Really, the truth is in the numbers, because here's the big thing behind it. The more times you take action, the more opportunities will show up. And the more opportunities to show up, the more you will learn. So as you apply more action, you will learn more about the interview. You will learn more about your coding. You will learn more about different topics that keep coming up in these interviews. You will learn more by failing. So now when you have the experience, now when you have all this knowledge, because you failed in the first 5, you can reset that law of averages. So knowing, let's say, stick to the 80-20, if we've learned, and that's just by average, but we learned and we've gotten a little bit better. Now maybe let's say the odds are 25% of the time, every time I go, I get another interview. And I learn a little more. And every time I get a little bit better, I get that percentage to go up. I see more callbacks. I see more things. I see more experiences. And what's really interesting here is to answer the initial question, your experiences are how successful you're going to be. And that is going to dictate exactly, your experiences will actually dictate your law of averages. And what I mean here, if you want to be successful in any situation, you need failures to learn from, to have experiences. If you've ever wondered why a principal software engineer walks in a room and instantly potentially knows the problem or knows how to solve it or has experienced it before, and kind of last part gave it away there, but if they walk in a room, you wonder how they just know this or how they ace interviews or how they do this. It's because they failed at it. And it's because now the law of averages are in their favor. Why? Because they're so damn good at what they're doing, because they've failed so many times that it's in their favor. And that's why they can walk in a room and succeed in any situations, because they've swayed that in their direction so hard that that's why they're there. They're not there for any other reason. You should go ask someone the next time you look at them, say, that is the ideal developer. How are they so successful in all these situations? Ask them what they failed at. Ask them how many times they failed and how bad did it feel, but how great does it feel now to be where you are? Now, I want to warn you, be careful. Just showing up, people might hear this and think, oh, the law of averages, that's what he's getting at. And forget about this learning part and learning from your mistakes and actually finding the truth in the numbers that when you actually take the time to learn this, that's where the growth is. But some people will just hear that, hey, if I just show up 100 times, I'm going to get 20 call-ins. That's not what I'm getting at. So I don't want you to take that away. Be very careful with that. So if you truly want to be successful in any situation, then I encourage you to fail, and fail hard and fail fast, and make sure you know about the law of averages, because when you're failing so hard, when you're failing a lot, sometimes you can hit 100 interviews in a row where you get no callbacks. That's okay. But if you know to keep trying because of the law of averages, and that if you keep learning, the law of averages will swing in your direction, then you can confidently know you will be getting the callbacks you're looking for. You will reach the success you want. But it takes time, it takes failure, and it takes you making sure you follow the plan you've set forth and making sure that you encourage yourself to keep going. Now, if you feel like you want help accelerating your coding career with the law of averages for yourself, then I encourage you to check out the Coding Career Fastlane I was talking about before. It's a service I have built to help you accelerate your career, whether you're a beginner or you're advanced. What I do is I help you with showing you and helping you build out a plan that will help you join the fast lane to your coding career. And that way you can get to the mountaintops you're looking for. You can be successful in any situation you want. And we'll definitely help you sway the law of averages in your favor in whatever it is you're trying to do, whether it's interviewing, whether you're in the job hunt, whether you're just trying to become a better programmer, or you're in a boot camp, or you're already in your career 5 or 6 years in, 10 years in. We can help you with that. If that interests you, check out the link down below. That is it for this video. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down below, or leave them on the Facebook page or the YouTube channel. And overall, remember that to answer this initial question, your experiences are how successful you will be in any situation, and your experiences dictate your law of averages. So at the end of the day, if you want to be successful in any situation, you need to fail to have the experiences to make you successful in the end. If I can hit the end button, that would be nice. There we go.